Good morning, everybody. As we go to the Chitas of today, we're holding the portion of Matzeda on chapter 14, verse number chapter 14, verse number 13 in the book of Leviticus. And he shall slaughter the lamb in the place where he slaughters the sin offerings, and the burnt offerings, was the north side of the Mizbeach, the Makam HaKodesh in a holy place, the Chatas Asham Hu, because it's a guilt offering and it's like a sin offering. Kodesh Kadashim Hu, this offering is called Holy of Holies. Nashas, what does it mean? On the place the Yeshechta, namely in the side of the copper, on the side of the copper altar at the north of the sanctuary courtyard. But what is the verse coming to teach us? Was it not already stated regarding the law of a guilt offering, the Parshas of Leviticus chapter 7, that the guilt offering was required to be slaughtered at the north? But since the guilt offering differs from other guilt offerings insofar as it requires placing together with the one that brings it, one might think that the animal should be slaughtered placed at the Nicanor gate, because that's where the Mitzvah is. The Mitzvah at that time is at the Nicanor gate. He's not at the north side. Usually a guy who brought a carbon chatas was at this carbon. So you might think this guy cannot come into the temple yet, into the place of as a Zanashim, where they bring the sacrifice, because he has to go to the mikveh, as you'll soon see. So you might think, he should bring the carbon. This carbon should be brought by the Nicanor gate. Therefore, the Torah tells us no. Even though that the guy who's the Metzora, who's bringing the carbon, is at the Nicanor gate, the carbon is still brought at the north side of the Mizbeach. Kikachatas, because it's like any other sin offering, or Asham, this offering is like any other sin offering. Hula kohen. No procedures of the holy service, Rashi says, performed by the kohen, this guilt offering is likened to the sin offering. This is specified that one should not say that since the blood of this guilt offering is unlike other guilt offering. In which way? In so far that it's placed in the cartilage of the ear and the thumb of the toe of the guy of the Mitzvah of the leper. So you might say this is different. Same thing. That's why the Torah has to repeat itself, so to say, Rashi says. It should also be exceptional. It should not be required application of blood ascribed to the fats of the altar. Therefore, the Torah tells us no. That nevertheless, even though this guilt offering is done differently than the regular guilt offering, nevertheless, it's brought on them. It's done. All the service was done like any other sin offering, guilt offering. And then the kohen takes from the blood of this guilt offering. He places on the cartilage of the right ear of the person that's coming to be purified. The right ear. In the thumb of his right hand. On the big toe of his right foot. Now she says the middle of the wall of the ear, the actual analogy to Nuach is known to me. I'm not known. I don't know exactly. Is unknown to me. Whether it's Hebrew or Aramaic, but its interpretation is the tenderon. Boyan is good as the thumb. And then the kohen takes from the oil. Yatzak al kaf HaKohen, he pours it into the left palm of the kohen. And then the kohen takes his left finger, his index finger, he takes from the oil that's in his left palm. And then he sprinkles it 7 times before the Lord. What does that mean? He sprinkles it towards the Holy of Holies. Yes, Hashem, and from the leftover of the oil. And the leftover oil that's in his hand, the kohen shall place in the cartilage of the right ear of the person being cleansed. In the right thumb, the thumb of the right hand. And the big toe of the right foot. Al Dama Oshim, he put it together with the blood that he put over there on these 3 places of the Mitzvah of the leper. And the leftover oil that the kohen has in his hand, he puts it on the head of the person that being cleansed. And the kohen forgives him before God. And then the kohen makes the carbon, and it brings forgiveness to the one who becomes to become impure, from his impurity. After that, he shechs the carbon. Verse 20. The kohen then brings up from the burnt offering and from the meal offering on the altar. And the kohen brings forgiveness to this person, and he becomes tar. Now she says this is the collective term referring to 3 libations of the meal offerings of these 3 animals that are brought on the Mizbeach. So as you can see, that if you spoke Lashon Hara, you had to go through all this to bring purity to yourself. You thought the next time of talking Lashon Hara. We now go to the Tanya of the day. We're holding in the middle of chapter 40 of Tanya. The Alter Rebbe talks about, again, the concept of kavanah. He's explaining what is the power of our kavanah. Having stated that the love and fear of God elevate one's Torah and mitzvahs on high, and that's why we need kavanah. A person that, whatever the kavanah is, whether it's true kavanah of the heart and he feels it, whether it's kavanah of the mind and there's love and fear in the mind, you need to have some avas Hashem and some yiras Hashem. And the Alter Rebbe says, this explains clearly how the chilav and the chilav gatfin. That's why in Kabbalah, in the Zohar, it's the love and fear, is called wings, gatfin. Like an example, it says like 2 wings he flies. That it's compared to 2 wings on a bird that lets you fly. It gives the capability to fly, alluding to the 2 middas of love and fear. That's why they go together, Av and Yira. And we need to have Avas Hashem, we need Yiras Hashem, because we need to fly. We need the mitzvah to fly. Because as it's brought down, Harav Chaim Vital is brought down in the book of Zohar, and the book of the Arizal. Chaim Vital Zechein Lebracha B'Shari Yechudim in the portal of Yechudim Perek Yud Aleph. Shekavayim be'oif, the wings for a bird, what arms are for the man. That's why in Kabbalah the right hand is Chesed and the left hand is Gevurah. And that's the way it is. That's as it's written. Chesed corresponds to the right hand, and the left hand, Gevurah, corresponds to the left arm. Similarly, the wings represents these 2 middas. And in the Zohar, it's written, those who engage in Torah mitzvahs out of fear and out of love, Banim are called children. Otherwise, if the Torah mitzvahs lack love and fear of God, they're called fledglings. The Yachal Parcha, they're like fledglings. They're not like children that can fly. They're fledglings that need their parents. They need the birds that have no capability of flying. The Yachal Parcha, they cannot fly. This note, the Alter Rebbe elaborates corresponding to wings. We'll go a little bit in Kabbalistic now. Corresponding to the wings of fear and love, he quotes the Tikkun Zohar. He quotes the Zohar that says where the subject is treated extensively. But Tikkun Mem Hey in the Zohar in chapter 45, the Ufuhum Mem Mimat. He says the bird represents the angel, what's called Metatron. Metatron is an angel. It's called Metatron. That is the one that connects. He brings the Metatron, I believe, is the one who brings the tefillas of a yid l'mayla. He's called the Malach Metatron. The Reishid Le Yud, and the Zohar says that the head of this angel is the letter Yud. Vav v'trein gatfen hein hey hey, and this angel is comprised of the 4 letters of God. The head of his letter is Yud, divine name Yud, Hey, Vav, Hey. The Yud represents Chachma. His body is Vav, and the six middas, and his 2 wings are the 2 letters, the Tei, Hey, Hey, representing Bina and Malchus respectively. In this regards to the world, because the world of angels is the world of formation, the world of Yitzira, which is called Metatra. Thus, applying the various elements of figure corresponding to aspect of Yitzira, we obtain. So that's the beauty. The beauty is Eilam HaMalach. Metatron is the main guy. He's the Malach. He's the main guy. He's the main Malach. He's called Metatron. And he is the one that leads all the other Malachim. Therefore, Eilam Yitzira is response to this Malach. But in Gufi Allah Mishnah, as you know, it's known that also in the Vav, in the world of Yitzira is Eilam HaMishnah, is the world of the law. Because the law is Torah Sheba'al Peh, the oral law, which is what you should do and you should not do. What you should do comes from the Midas HaChesed. What you shouldn't do comes from Midas HaGevurah. So that's why the Mishnah, Gemara, is in Eilam HaBriya, because Gemara is understanding. Chachma is in Eilam HaBriya. But Midas, the aspect of Midas, Chesed and Gevurah, isn't Chesed and Gevurah, the concept of kindness and severity, and the letter of Vav. That's why there's Shisha, Sidrei Mishnah, there's 6 different composites of the Mishnah that Rabbi Yehuda Nasi wrote. He divided into the 6 categories, and that's the Torah Sheba'al Peh is divided into 6 categories, which is the 6 midas, the 6 attributes of Chesed, Gevurah, Tiferes, Netzach, Chod, Yesod, and those are the 6 attributes, attributes of God, and those are the 6 Mishnahs. The Vav, the body of Metatron, represents the body of the law of the Mishnah. Since the Mishnah is at the level of Yitzira, it's emotion, as I'll soon explain. For the body of the law, meaning the actual ruling, determine what is permitted and what is forbidden, who is guilty, who is innocent, and the like, are all related to Midas, all concept of emotion, which are represented by the letter Vav. Vav is 6. Also, Vav is connection. And the head of the Vav, right? Because every the letter Vav has a Yud on top of it. And what's the head of the Vav is Yud, is Meichen of Bechinas Chachma Bin Das. And the head of the Vav is the letter Yud, because the head of Midas, the head of the 6 tractates of Mishnah, which is Halacha, what is allowed and what's not allowed? What is the source of Chesed, those things that are allowed? And what is the source of Gevurah, those things that are not allowed? Is Chachma Bin Das, is the Yud, is represented in the Yud. So the term, the level of Chabad, which on terms of the Mishnah is the inner depth of the law, their esoteric meanings and their reasons. So you have the whole concept, Chachma Bin Das, is in the Eilam HaBriya, and that's where the understanding is. That's the letter Yud. So the letter Yud is in Eilam HaBriya, and the letter Vav is in Eilam HaTzitzila. But actually, the letter Yud and Hey go together. That's in Eilam HaBriya, and the letter Vav is in Eilam HaTzitzila, and then the last letter is in Eilam HaYasiyah, is the letter Hey. Today, Gatvin, and those are the 2 wings. That's what we talk Malachim. This Malach has 2 wings. What is these 2 wings? His 2 wings is the concept of love and fear. Hein hey la shidachima. They're representing the higher hey, which is an allusion to the prevalent to the literature of Kabbalah to love. V'hei tata. So those are the 2 wings. The hey la, Yud K, Vav K. So hey la, v'hei tata. You have Ava Ilah, Ava Tata. You have Yida Ilah, Yida Tata. So both of them are hey, which is in the concept of the Yud K. So it's higher than the Vav in a way, because ultimately everything. That's why the Yud of the Vav has 2 Heys in it. That's how a Yud is made. So you have the Hey Love, a Hey Tata, the upper Hey and the lower Hey. So you have Hey Love, the upper Hey is the concept of love. The Hey Tata, Yida Tata. And the lower Hey alludes to the lower level of fear, namely the yoke of heaven, heavenly kingdom. The dread of God is similar to the dread of a king, that I'm afraid of a king. Which is an external level, the Hey Tata, the lower level of fear, is the external level of love. And that's the love. That's the fear that you see. I'm in fear. I'm in trepidation. A higher level of fear is awe in God. The opposite of the higher level of fear. Yira, which consists of shame before God. I'm embarrassed. I'm humbled. Which is a very high level. That's why it's the hidden manner that belong to God. Most of us have yiratata, which we're afraid of God's wrath. We're afraid of God's punishment. But really, we should be embarrassed by God. We should reach up to the higher level of fear, which is in awe of God. We're embarrassed in God's presence. And that's all in the letter of the yud, in that yud, in that dot that's on the top of the letter vav. Yud shel Shem Havaya Baruch Hu, which is the yud has within it the two hays, as is brought down in Kabbalah. And I am him. And that completes the Tanya of today. Today is the 7th day of the month, which is chapter 39 to chapter 43. You do those 5 chapters until you do the chitas of the day. Wish you all a wonderful and beautiful day. God bless you all. See you tomorrow, at 8 o'clock. We'll continue the chitas of